begin by introducing our keynote speaker, Admiral Jayanta Pereira. Admiral Pereira brings with him a distinguished career in maritime leadership and strategic affairs. His deep insights into regional security, maritime cooperation, and connectivity across the Indian Ocean region make him uniquely positioned to set the tone for today's discussion. We are equally honored to have exceptional panel of speakers, each bringing expertise across critical dimensions of the maritime corridor. Dr. Neeta Avasthi, she will guide us through the future of green ports and digital innovation, focusing on how smart technologies, automation, and ESG frameworks are transforming ports into sustainable and efficient ecosystems. Dr. A.K. Upadhyay, an expert on the blue economy and sustainability. He will highlight how maritime resources, fisheries, ocean-based economic activities can be harnessed responsibly for long-term growth. Mr. Mani Maran, with his experience in customs and logistics, he will address ports and logistics efficiency, shedding light on operational challenges, regulatory frameworks, and ways to streamline trade flows. Mr. Shashi Kumar is a thought leader in trade and policy. He will bring insights on trade and policy, supply chains, maritime diplomacy, emphasizing how agreements, diplomacy, and resilient strategies can strengthen bilateral and regional trade. As we move forward, I encourage all participants to engage actively, reflect on the insights shared, and think about how we can collectively move from dialogue to actionable collaboration. With that, it is my honor to invite our keynote speaker, Admiral Jayanta Pereira, to deliver keynote address and set the stage for this important discussion. Admiral Saab, the floor is yours. I've had the privilege of meeting you in person, so I know what we are heading at. So kindly lead us through the presentation.
Thank you. Hi, Bhuvan. Namaste. Good afternoon to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes. Chairman Bana, the Indo-Sri Lanka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Chair, for your kind introduction. It is a pleasure to participate in this virtual conference. I would like to thank the organizing committee headed by Dr. Naresh Bana and Madam Deepika for their tireless efforts in making this dialogue possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll discuss very important subject to maritime sector, supply chain connectivity, reimagining bilateral maritime future, and Sri Lanka perspective on the subject of port-led regional connectivity and development strategies. While I will intend to focus mostly on the efforts initiated by Sri Lanka in this respect, I will also very briefly touch upon the regional aspect related to this topic. Ladies and gentlemen, it comes as no surprise that the Indian Ocean region occupies a position of immense strategic importance. Today, half of the world container traffic, 1/3 of bulk cargo transport, and 2/3 of global oil trade transit the waters of this region. However, this region is expected to contribute 22.1% of the world GDP by this year, 2026. Furthermore, the phase of digitalization and green connect have also commenced facilitating this region maritime integration process. Ladies and gentlemen, the introduction of a smartphone concept and can help transform the functions of run on virtual platforms have enabled the opening up of better growth opportunities in this direction. Moreover, the concept of blue and green economy and net zero, which the world at large navigating for better growth. Sri Lanka being positioned in a location that offers strong connectivity channels towards drawing together many international shipping routes is considered a pivotal factor. Any vessels coming from Strait of Hormuz today, there's a problem. and Red Sea Strait or South has to pass south of Sri Lanka. Daily average more than 300 vessels passing through Sri Lankan, south of Sri Lanka. Nevertheless, it should be understood that Sri Lanka should not only be part of South Asian region's best maritime hub, but because it is located on the east-west maritime corridor, it can achieve greater strength in promoting itself as a link to global capital of the maritime industry. The speedy development that are taking place to improve the shipping logistics, infrastructure facilities in and around main ports of Sri Lanka, such as Port of Colombo, Port of Hambantota, and Port of Trincomalee, is allowing the expansion of existing terminals and building of new terminals which enhance capacity that could easily handle the largest categories of vessels. Recently, the biggest vessel can carry 24,000 containers ever class also has reached to Colombo port. Ladies and gentlemen, growing support extended through various modes of transportation, which includes air connectivity channels, is becoming an added advantage. At a time when global shipping operations are being largely diverted towards Asia, Sri Lanka has now become a transit hub that remains tailor-made to meet the demands of the suppliers and global trade partners. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Sri Lanka Ports Authority has clearly envisaged the two-way flow of business activities that shall take place as a result of the capacity and efficiency enhancement strategies, which the Sri Lanka Ports Authority intends to initiate as a part of the National Port Master Plan. Also, Port of Colombo is the best connected port in South Asia and 13th place in the most connected port globally. During the first half of the year, it has almost reached the halfway mark of 9 million TEUs in 2026 compared to that of last year, total of 8.3 million TEUs mark. In 2025, last year, it was ranked in the 25th in the global ranking. Ladies and gentlemen, the port of Hambantota gaining precedence as a lucrative window of connectivity would become a value addition to the Sri Lankan maritime sector. Moreover, this port is located close to the major international east-west shipping route and well positioned along the maritime gateway to the sea line of communication and creates good business opportunity for providing bunkering services, ro-ro operations, oil and gas drill ship layup services. In addition to carry out usual port function, the construction of container terminals are in progress. At the moment, there are 6-7 grand cranes and they are doing the normal operation and yet to improve the facilities there. Then we'll come to Trincomalee Harbour is the second best natural harbour in the world. Trincomalee was initially identified to cater for bulk and break bulk cargo and port-related industrial activities, including heavy industries, tourism, and agriculture. The anticipated transformation, which is in progress as an undertaking initiated by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, is intended to convert the port of Trincomalee to an export hub. Furthermore, Galle and Kankasanturi up north ports will be into the requirement of each region and to facilitate the needs of national economic corridor. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving along, when considering the regional development taken up, implementation of Sagaramala concept and the Maritime India Vision 2030 will further enhance the best port infrastructure in India, which will help improve the regional maritime connectivity in a healthy manner. India is the 16th largest maritime country in the world with a coastline of 7,517 kilometers, has 13 major ports and over 200 minor and intermediate ports under Sagaramala National Prospect Plan. Visanjam International Seaport is India's first purpose-built deep-water transshipment port, located about 10 nautical miles from the international shipping route. Is categorically positioned to compete with Colombo, Dubai, and Singapore. In addition, the Kaladan multi-modal transport project and India-Myanmar-Thailand trilateral highway project, as well as the proposed IMEC, India Middle East Coast Economic Corridor initiative undertaken, will also support the above strategies. So, ladies and gentlemen, therefore it becomes vital to have a place contingency plans to maintain level of stability to sustain all maritime operations as planned, which can be easily supported by automated port facilities. Such advancement that take place will often bring the necessary to strengthen the regional maritime security network that becomes the basis for security cooperation in the region. Prospects of cooperation between Visanjam and Colombo or Hambantota are likely to be competitive and cooperative. Balance will depend on the commercial strategy, shipping alliances, and Indo-Sri Lanka economic relations. To achieve our strategic opportunities, what we discuss here today, I propose establish South Asia Maritime Corridor, Sri Lanka and India. Harmonize customs and digital document, which is lacking in both countries. I hope that will improve the shipping, and shippers also will like for that. Develop common control feeder services. That is very important to connect South India and Sri Lanka North. As the moment there are, but still, if you can have more, it will be much beneficial to the both countries. Promote Indian Ocean cruise tourism. All these are in charters of BIMSTEC, IORA, SAG, but still yet to improve that, because we talk only, but it's not happening. There are few crucial lines operating between India and Sri Lanka, but it must connect to the regionals as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the sea lines of communication in Indian Ocean and lifeline of global commerce must be open for peaceful use. The Indian Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi advocating an open and inclusive Indo-Pacific, that is Mahasagara. However, in conclusion, let us bold be promoting one vast global productivity and maritime connectivity. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, Sri Lanka is called a pearl of Indian Ocean. So Sagaramala is the necklace around. I hope, if we connected Sagaramala, the port Sagaramala and Sri Lankan as a pendant, so win-win situation, both countries will be benefited, because Sri Lanka is 100%, not 90% depending on transit cargo from India to other countries. So we'll have to think together and we'll have to do together. And I hope this will be prosper in future as well with Maritime 2030. And also, I would like to say this seminar, whatever that we are deliberating, will be much beneficial to the people. Thank you very much for your kind patience for hearing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral Pereira, for that insightful, forward-looking keynote address. You have truly set the stage by highlighting the strategic importance of maritime cooperation between India and Sri Lanka and the broader implications for the Indian Ocean. Let us now turn the focus to the critical area of trade policy, supply chains, and maritime diplomacy, all of which are fundamental to making the Indo-Sri Lankan corridor both efficient and resilient. I would like to invite Mr. Shashi Kumar to share his perspective on a few key questions. The first one that comes to my mind is how trade and policy reforms improve supply chain resilience between India and Sri Lanka. Mr. Kumar, we would value your insights on these aspects. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon to everybody. Actually, I would like to digress a little bit and talk something about anthropology first. That is because of discovery of a gene called M130 in a person in Tamil Nadu, which points to the fact that Indian and Sri Lankan population descended 70,000 years ago from a common genetic stock, that is from Africa. So the ties between India and Sri Lanka is much, much more beyond trade. It actually, it is a natural, because South India and North India, there is a little bit of divide as far as genetic ancestry is concerned, but it is seamless between South India and Sri Lanka. One good thing that is happening these days is that South India is emerging as a manufacturing hub, manufacturing industrial hub. And for the goods to move out, a natural imperative that is required is, instead of thinking of a road connection like Kaladan project up to Myanmar, or rather up to Bangkok through Myanmar, we should think of a sea link road bridge between South India and Sri Lanka. That will enable seamless container movements from various parts of the country, both to and fro, between South India and Sri Lanka, which is the largest, South India being emerging as is actually emerging as the largest manufacturing hub in India. If you take especially Tamil Nadu and Tamil Nadu bordering Andhra Pradesh region, is becoming a very big economic corridor in terms of manufacturing economy. As far as traditional connections between, apart from these traditional connections between India and Sri Lanka, on the commercial side also, when we think of the free trade agreements, the Indo-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement was the first FTA ever signed by India. It was signed in 1998 and implemented from 2000 onwards, which eliminated tariff barriers in commodities between India and Sri Lanka. And this is supposed to further graduate into a sort of a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which has now been changed into a new concept called ETCA, Economic and Technology Cooperation Agreement. This ETCA is actually focusing beyond goods. The relationship between India and Sri Lanka is supposed to go beyond goods, and we are thinking of investment, areas like investments, then areas like maritime infrastructure, IT, and things like that. We are also thinking about investment boost. India is the largest foreign direct investing country in Sri Lanka. So we are through the ETCA, it has not progressed much, though it is an old concept which emanated in 2018, I think. It didn't progress much. 2018, it got stalled, and again got 2016, it started, and then talks went on till 2018. Then again, it has got resumed in 2023. But it has not got matured enough to reach the implementation stage. But in my opinion, a road connectivity between South India and Sri Lanka, the northernmost part of Sri Lanka, will be hardly 14 kilometers from the southernmost tip of South India. A road connectivity across the sea, which can enable lorry traffic carrying containers, will seamlessly integrate all transshipment ports like Vizhinjam, which is now which has come into existence in recently in Kerala. The Vizhinjam port is the first transshipment port that has been put up by Adani, and Sri Lanka already has 3 transshipment ports. So this will bring in some sort of a very good integration in not only the bilateral cooperation, it will be a combined cooperation that will see the trade of both India and Sri Lanka much beyond the traditional frontiers. As far as present bilateral trade with Sri Lanka is concerned, it's very, very modest. It is totally just around 7 billion US dollars, with India exporting 5.5 crores goods, mostly petroleum products, pharma, cotton, sugar, etc., and importing minerals, pepper, and apparels. But there is actually not much of a technological cooperation that has happened between India and Sri Lanka. It is only in traditional sectors the cooperation is happening. No major step has been taken in other modern fronts like telecommunication infrastructure. All that I am trying to say is road, telecommunication, etc., between India and Sri Lanka can become really seamless if a proper connectivity, a road connectivity gets established between India and Sri Lanka. And as I said, we have a very, very ancient historical link with Sri Lanka, and that has been now buttressed by the discovery of this M130 gene, which clearly shows that there is a prehistoric link between the South Indian population and Sri Lankan population. And this prehistoric link, coupled with a modern road connectivity and trade and cooperation, will definitely make this into a combined and a strong economic corridor, not only on the cargo movement front, but in many, many areas where these two countries can cooperate and progress. With these few words, I leave the floor back to Mr. Anil Arora. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shashi Kumar, for your valuable inputs. Of course, the FTA has been in place and the road link will help. I think, Deepika ji, we need to shut off the unwanted camera.
I think you have to unmute Mr. Anil.
Am I audible now?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the valuable inputs. We will now move on to Mr. Manimaran to share his views on the following. What are the current bottlenecks in port logistics and cargo movement between India and Sri Lanka? Mr. Manimaran, the floor is up to you. I don't see you on the.
Am I not visible?
Yes, you're audible.
You are visible and
Right.
audible. Yeah, you are visible and audible.
Thank you, Mr. Anil, and good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for having me here. And coming to the point directly about the current bottlenecks in the port logistics and cargo movement between India and Sri Lanka. India and Sri Lanka, we know, share a strong maritime relationship. But of course, there are several challenges that continue to affect the efficient cargo movement between our countries. So we can see the bottlenecks in three different perspectives. Some on documentation, some related to the lack of direct shipping services, and some can be categorized under the infrastructure imbalance. Amongst it, one of the biggest bottleneck we can say is the heavy dependence on the Colombo port, the transshipment, which increases the transit time, logistic cost, and the risk of delays. We know a large share of cargo between the two countries is still routed through Colombo for transshipment, even when the cargo is meant only for India and Sri Lanka. This increases both the transit time and logistic cost. And the limited direct shipping and the feeder connectivity between Indian and Sri Lankan ports also restrict seamless trade. Apart from those factors, the infrastructure constraints such as port congestion, inadequate storages, last mile road and rail connectivity further slows the cargo movement. As I'm from the customs department, we have been seeing this, and while customs processes have become largely digital, delays can still occur due to documentation issues, examinations, multiple regulatory clearances. In addition, the lack of digital integrations between the port community systems of both the countries often results in duplication of information and reduced visibility across the supply chain. Other important concerns include container storage, shortages especially, then high logistic costs, limited cold chain facilities for perishable cargoes, the need for closer coordination amongst the customs, port authorities, ship lines, terminal operators, and other stakeholders. Global supply chain disruptions also continue to impact the shipping schedules and trade predictability in this region, right? Though we talked about the major ports have modernized rapidly with better technology and deeper berths, smaller ports and corridors that are important for bilateral trade, such as Nagapattinam and the Rameshwaram Talaimannar route, still need further development. So the encouraging news is that the proposed the direct cargo ferry services and the restart of the passenger ferry between two countries reflect a strong commitment to improving connectivity. These initiatives can reduce dependencies on transshipment hubs, lower cost, shorten transit times, and strengthen trade between India and Sri Lanka. Of course, to address all these challenges, probably we should promote more direct shipping services and to strengthen the Indian transshipment hubs, enhance customs to customs digital data exchanges, and also to integrate the port community system and improve multimodal connectivity under the PM Gati Shakti initiative of Government of India. And also we have to encourage more of mutual recognition of AEO's programs between the exim trade for using this region. Above all, the strong stakeholder coordination will be essential to make India-Sri Lanka trade route faster, more reliable, and more cost-effective. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Anil.
Mr. Anil, I think got disconnected. He's just connecting again.
No, I'm here, sir. Thank you very much for the inputs, Mr. Manimaran. As we move forward, it's equally important to look at future of the ports, not just as efficient trade hubs, but as sustainable, technologically advanced ecosystems. With that, I would like to invite Dr. Neeta Awasthi to share her insights on green ports and digital innovations. Also, we have an interesting question from an audience, which I would like you to club with your response, and that's from Ms. Anamika. What role do NGOs, CSR initiatives, and local institutions play in making the partnership inclusive, sustainable, and at community level? So if you can throw some light on these subjects,
Yes.
ma'am.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. So far as your question is concerned, I was also seeing this question on the chat box. I'll take it up along with. So since I'm into digitization, I'm into AI. And you'll be glad to know, Dr. Bana knows that I'm an energy auditor also. So this question turns out to be a very interesting question for me.
Yes.
So fine, this corridor is very well. It is an ambitious project. May you have it. May all of us have this. But before that, I would like to pick it up from very basic things. Let's start with measuring the lower emissions. That means that let us check the carbon baseline. That is use of electricity, cargo equipment, trucks, vessels at the berth, and how we handle the waste. We can have journals there, we can have monitors there, we can have annual reduction in the targets, and we publish that. So first thing, we'll have to monitor them, and second, annual publishing that really we are doing it. So that should be the first part. Then second, for the green ports, it is to electrify as many equipments as possible. You have yard cranes, forklifts, lightings, hovercraft. Now we can pair this with the rooftop solar, and nowadays windmills, small windmills of every shape and size, turbines are there, wind turbines. We can add this, add the storage, and also the cleaner grid replacement or procurement. We can introduce the shore power and introduce that at the priority berths where you have the maximum number of traffic is there, where the vessel calls are regular and the power demand is viable, and that allows the ships to switch off their auxiliary engines and save diesel at the berth at least. Also, what we can do is, this is how we improvise, we coordinate, and we optimize any project. That is coordination, vessel call coordination, just-in-time arrival systems, and reducing the anchoring time, anchorage waiting. Again, that will reduce the fuel consumption and also the local emissions. For that, we are all responsible. So thereafter, it comes that let us create a common India-Sri Lanka Green Corridor roadmap, which will be compatible to your bunkering standards, pilot berths, and emissions reportings and incentives for cleaner trips. So instead of going into taking a very big step, a very big leap, I would like to go one step at a time, that let it be a really green corridor road mapping, which is the transition may not begin with the expansive or expensive mega projects. It can be a very benign thing with the measurement, operational discipline, which we say timetable, and electrification of the port's assets, and the joint planning of clean fuels and the shore power. Exactly the thing that I am getting this question, which I have been asked to answer. I am the director of a college, and I know anything happening even in space or beyond, anything happening in the oceans, its effect comes to small cities. Like I am sitting here in Mathura, and my students now come to me and then they say that, ma'am, we want to launch a satellite, and we welcome that. So any step taken in any direction, it comes to the very baseline community, as you said, women, youth, and small enterprise. Youth gets inspired. When you are asking about data centers, cleaner initiatives. When we go, we have a satellite at the space. We need materials, we need very small equipments. Similarly, for larger vessels that we are having in the oceans, we need the research for that. I think anything you do, it will affect the supply chain, it will affect the smallest of the entrepreneurs, and it will affect women, youth, and everything. And the questions are coming to the AI driven systems also, digital literacy. I'm very happy we are having a lot, we have expanded on that, and all systems which are coming in time, we should have proper ledger, shared ledgers, blockchains, all those things will be coming. And absolutely, unless the systems are AI driven, we can't hold all this. So certainly all of them will be affected and positively affected.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Neeta Awasthi, for those forward-looking insights on green ports and transformative role of this digital information innovation.
Yes.
I would like you to address one more question which came out from Dr. Manimaran's, from Mr. Manimaran's point of view, was digital integration of port. Do you see it as a big saver of time and energy for both the countries?
We have some echo mic.
Yeah, we have some static coming from somewhere.
Very sharp echo, yes.
Yeah, I think it's
Yes.
gone now. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
coming from Dr. Upadhyay's.
yeah. Could you repeat the question?
So
Mr.
my question was, Mr. Manimaran brought up a very pertinent point saying ports should be digitally integrated. Do you
Yes.
see that as a major savior of time and energy for both the countries?
Exactly. I agree, and I agree to this because we'll be saving a lot of time and energy both. Digitization will be solving specific operational problems. Rather than simply adding the technology, AI can forecast vessel arrivals, berth demand, cargo dwell time, equipment needs, congestion, maintenance time. We have seen Indigo. They have reduced the time, increased the number of ferries that they can have just by reducing the time of cleaning their vessels. Similarly, if we integrate AI into it, we can predict from where this is coming, expected time of arrival, we can allocate better berths for them, we can deploy the crane and other equipment there itself, we can schedule the gates accordingly, we can make the faster cargo evacuation. And if we save time, obviously we save energy. And at the same time, when you say AI, and I added a word blockchain there, because as I was listening to Mani sir, that there should be something which is shared between both the countries. Blockchain is the thing. It is the shared ledger that can be valuable with all the parties, and that has to be evident, tamper proof, and shared. Blockchain is one thing. Now it can reduce your duplicate submissions, bills of lading, cargo releases, certificates, compliances, audits, and audit trails. So that there are lower opportunities for delay, discretion, and obviously we'll be improving the efficiency. Truly, I should be thankful to this forum that you have clicked so many ideas into me that I give you so many projects to my final year students for the capstone project. Let's say for the corridors, the priority decks, priority places should be an interpretable port community. That is the community system itself linked to both the countries of maritime single window. Maybe you have different cybersecurity laws, you have different data governance rules, that MOUs can be improved. It can have different standardized data among the ports, customs, your shipping lines and terminal operators and freight forwards, etc., and the regulators. So I think AI will make a huge change and into making the port decisions more predictive, more productive, trusted, shared digital records that will make the transition more transparent. But the true value will come when the systems speak to each other. That becomes the main part. And that's the communication, and that's where blockchain will come into it with the shared ledger, which we can trusted, untemperable ledgers. So AI and blockchain and all these data security is one place where a lot of work can be done, where both the countries and all the countries can trust that particular data. I think we have many things we can do.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. With that, I bring the mic to Dr. A.K. Upadhyay. Dr. Saab, you've heard everybody here from a customs perspective, from a historical perspective, now from a digital perspective. I would like to ask you the question that how can India and Sri Lanka collaboratively unlock the full potential of this blue economy?
That is included in my presentation just now. I'm going to view, and all questions can be, can be heard upon, and I'll be giving those answers. And thank you very much, sir, and for the distinguished gathering here sharing this webinar. Now, coming directly to the topic of blue economy and sustainability in the country. Now, it has been a fact that the whole world is striving hard for the food production, keeping in view of the proliferation of population. The world population by 2050 may be 9.8 billion. Indian population might be 1.68 billion, and Sri Lankan population by 2050 may be reaching to 24.8. Now we are all part of the ecosystem where the living resources are renewable. If properly, rationally exploited and taken care and using eco-friendly mechanism of produce, this can be, we are able to get the benefit of it for the longer version of time. Now, India and Sri Lanka are not only the adjoining countries, but mutually and geographically well connected with strategic location, economic synergy. Similarly, anciently also we have been together on many issues. Both nations, as far as the blue economy is concerned, are heavily investing on maritime infrastructure to boost trade and passenger movement. Then Indian Ocean is home to major sea routes to the Middle East and then through your Red Sea to Europe and other those western part of the world and then Southeast Asia. What remains a major focal point between India and Sri Lanka is the Park Strait region, which holds the vast potential for resource for exploration of renewable energy. And India and Sri Lanka perhaps are the, when with the change in the strategic location and economic synergy, both nations are heavily investing in marine infrastructure that I already told you. Now, the geographical proximity of Sri Lanka with India as a partner being shared between Park Strait and Gulf of Mannar, if properly driven in a due course of time, India and Sri Lanka are among the first two countries that propose to make Indian Ocean as a peace zone. With the changing movement of the power and all world over. Now, this presentation tries to highlight the important role of India and Sri Lanka could play in boosting blue economy in sustainable manner. Now, next time. Now, as I said that the northern province of the Sri Lanka has connection with the state of Tamil Nadu. The India and Sri Lanka are deeply interconnected, stretching the rich maritime zones like Park Strait, Gulf of Mannar. Now, share the ecosystem is the site of the severe maritime boundary fishing rights. Now, there has been the conflict between the fishing rights between India and Sri Lanka. All the time, the Indian fishermen go to that side and the Sri Lankan fishermen come to this side because that falls within the range of EEZ. This EEZ regulation doesn't follow in Park Strait, Gulf of Mannar with India and Sri Lanka. So invariably, this movement of chartering of the fishermen from both sides result into some sort of conflict. We need to answer to these things by maintaining and by creating fishing regulations, acts, and adhering to them strictly so that this can be averted. Now, these are some of the strengths of our both the countries.
India has the extensive, by virtue of being a natural, the peninsular part from south to, from west to east coast of India, the total coastline is 11,098 kilometers, while Sri Lanka 1,785. Now EZ is 2.305 million square kilometers. For Sri Lanka, it is much less, 0.532 continental shelf area. Now, this area is important from the point of view of exploration of fish. This is a pristine, clear water of continental shelf. It brings maximum catch world over. So this area is very important from the viewpoint of fisheries. Now it is 0.53 million square kilometers for India, and for being a smaller nation, it is 0.03. Rest others are river, canals, all those inland water and all of those resources, reservoirs are being there that can be seen later on. Now, the most redeeming feature of the Indian fishing industry is that there has been phenomenal increase into the landing of fish from India. It is 19.77, which share about 10% of the production of the global basket. Now, if you see the breakup, the total capture, mostly from marine resources, is 6.282 million metric tons. Inland capture is far below, but India has, whatever India has lost from the capture from marine side because of overfishing, fishing from the similar continental shelf area repeatedly, this had declined the stock. By 1995, there was a major stay of marine fisheries, which declined later on, captured by, the loss was sustained by the good production of the aquaculture from inland resources. Now, the total aquaculture produce is 15.16. Out of that, mariculture through marine species is 0.50. And while you see that inland aquaculture has enormously gone ahead with 12.984. It is in million metric tons. Then coming to the next. Now, average growth rate of the fish production in India is 8.18. Now, we want to increase it to 9. Then the fish production, which as present 19.8, we are second largest fish producer in the world. We want to make it stronger to 22 million metric tons in this 5-year plan. The average aquaculture product is 4.7, which has to be increased by 5. The most redeeming feature of the Indian fishing industry is that they export. India exports about 72,325 rupees, crores of rupees. This is really enormously high, and as far as the fish export is concerned, we are fourth largest country in the world, and we want to make it over 1 lakh. Over 1 lakh rupees, 100,000 rupees of curries. Post harvest losses, they are at 25%, and that has to be reduced to the 10%. Now, that has been already told to you that India is second largest fish producer. The commercial fisheries relies on mix of traditional and heavily mechanized sectors. The traditional sector is in the shallower part, coastal bay areas, while mechanized is offshore. In the southeast, specifically Tamil Nadu, the extensive use of mechanized trawlers has led to the severe overfishing, depletion of the fish stock. While Sri Lanka's major focus on food security is through fish, the livelihood for coastal communities in the northern, eastern, western provinces. Sri Lankan fishermen are primarily utilized traditional artisanal method of fisheries and bottom trawling. And trawling has been banned since 2016 because it has a derogatory effect on the stock. Now, as has been already told, the Indian government has launched national high seas fishing vessels. Now, India is focusing from last decade to go for offshore fishing, offshore deep sea fishing. Now, this is the need of the time. Sri Lanka relies heavily on multi-day fishing because they go for multi-day fishing fleet and to target high value tuna. Only about 16% of these landing currently meet export quality standards due to outdated post-harvest gear and limited refrigeration. With support from Japan, Sri Lanka has expanded inland reservoir fisheries to boost up the community income and the food security. Sri Lanka exports over uh, 0.357 US dollars, billion dollars of fish annually. Uh, Now, we have about a strong base of 64,000 mechanized vessels. Now, initiatives in park-based scheme are being used to transition fisheries towards the mariculture, such as seaweed farming. Now, this is the shallower part of the water body, your Park Bay and Gulf of Mannar. Now, here the the major emphasis is on culture and seaweed farming, especially, and this has been the largest, richest bed of reef fisheries in India. So the emphasis is on producing corals, reef, and then the mangrove area for the other fisheries, which are the part of the culture also. Sometimes some of the culturable fishes are also exist here. Then transboundary poaching by Indian trawlers in Sri Lankan waters has led to frequent Navy arrests and an estimated annual loss of 730 million of US dollars. Now, both countries face environmental challenges from coral bleaching and warming oceans that push fish into deeper waters. Now, the major maritime activity between India and Sri Lanka is to be there in roughly even along the 28 to 88-kilometer stretch between Park Strait of Gulf of Mannar. Now, this boundary was established via bilateral treaties in 1974 and 1976 to regulate exclusive economic zones, fisheries, and maritime transit between India and Sri Lanka and these two Asian countries. Now, we accorded to the law of sea in 1974 by the law, by the Act of Parliament in 1974. India immediately implemented it, and similarly Sri Lanka also. Now, we hold vast fishery potential, but face contrasting realities. Like India leads globally, boasting of marine potential and overall production of near 19.77 MNT. Sri Lanka rallies heavily on exclusive economic zone for sustainable economic growth, focusing on offshore tuna, inland reservoirs, and development. India's total fisheries potential is 22.31. India, okay. Now, Sri Lanka possesses a marine EEZ of roughly this much, by 32,000 square kilometer, rich in pelagic species like tuna. The inland is focusing on this. The island is focusing on boosting its inland fisheries sector, particularly expanding reservoirs, yields, ensure nutritional livelihood. Now, there has been an attempt also to explore inland reservoirs with the help of Japanese treaty, with the Japanese collaboration. Sri Lanka's strategy targets post-harvest improvement to meet export standards, especially EU and US standards, and promote sustainable fishing practices by phasing out damaging techniques and supporting community-led fishing groups. Now, the flashpoint is Park Bay. Now, the Park Bay can be utilized for mutually agreeing upon on culturing some of the eco-friendly species between the two countries. I remember the time when one of the leading and stalwarts of the scientists from Sri Lanka, Mr. Sena De Silva, and from Indian side, it was Professor T.J. Pandian from Madurai Kamraj. They had extensively worked on this aspect. This needs to be strengthened and must be put into the charter of having some bilateral exchange program in mariculture activity. Like you can culture some shrimps Then you can go for the coral, I mean, for your pearl culture. Then you can go for some of the submerged water species, some of the coastal ornamental fishes. Now, depleted inshore stocks on the Indian side is driven by decades of mechanized bottom trawling have led to the Indian fishermen to cross international maritime boundary line, impacting Sri Lanka local fisheries. Both nations are attempting to resolve this friction. India has initiated schemes to transition, away from trawling and encourage mariculture. We are also focusing on marine culture, while Sri Lanka is strictly regulating fishing gear to protect marine habitats. In order to protect marine habitats and especially the mangrove area, Sri Lanka has to go for the coastal aquaculture. If not now, they must begin to switch over to the culture. Improving fishery sector in India and Sri Lanka requires a dual focus on sustainable marine management, deep sea fleet modernization, and digital traceability. Now, this is very important. Now, the deep sea fleet, it needs a skilled fishing, which need modernization, modernized vessels, gears, then similarly the navigational appliances like fish finders and all that needs and transducers. These are the fish finders which by the aid of which one is able to go for targeted fishing in offshore water. Shifting artisanal fishes from overfished coastal zone to technology advanced deep sea vessels to tap EZ resources of India, upgrading the traditional medium-scale multi-day boat fleet of Sri Lanka to safety navigate and harvest beyond immediate coastal limits, reducing localized stock.
If I may say, in the interest of time,
Ah,
can we
I'm
conclude
reducing.
fastly? Yeah.
Okay, I'm just reducing, sir. I'm just focusing on how the best accord can be signed between Sri Lanka and India on the collaboration for sustainable fishery development.
Right.
We should have joint venture for the development of mangrove ecosystem and its bioresource, especially along the Tamil Nadu and northeastern province of Jaffna in Sri Lanka. Improvisation of exploring extended offshore fishing. Now, this is very important. Sri Lanka has already started this, but needs to be improvised. So this needs to be extended offshore fishing ground to capture tuna. There is huge resource of tuna and other pelagic fish resource like sardines and along the western Indian Ocean adjoining India and Sri Lanka. So in order to boost up the fact, India should have the joint venture program for culturing of fishes, especially in the uh, northern eastern province of Tamil Nadu and Gulf of Mannar and this side, Park Bay. And for the offshore fishing, they should shift their attention to the western side of Indian Ocean. That means around the 20 degrees, 20 to 15 degrees north latitude. India and Sri Lanka both should make a joint venture program understanding to fish together and develop the technology. Development of treaty for development of export avenues, fish, shellfish, and their value-added products. Now, this has been there with the Sri Lanka. We have been receiving some of the smoked products and uh, cured products from Sri Lanka. It comes to India in a and it goes to all parts of the India. Even in northern India, you find dried fish, smoked products. I mean, brought from Sri Lanka. Like that, we should have. Now, India also equally sent some of the smoked products like masbean and tuna to fish. But there needs to be a proper planning for the export and for rendering of value-added products. Some new products need to be.
20 minutes are left.
Fishing laws and
Sir?
regulation be framed India and Sri Lanka. Now to
Sir,
avoid the possible.
I would request if you can share the presentation with the
Later.
Okay.
chamber. We can have
Okay.
an internal discussion later.
Okay, no, that I already finished.
Sir, now
Yeah.
we are running.
Okay,
We
sir,
are
thank
already
you.
overshot the time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So getting a little off track now, I would actually ask Mr. Manimaran, that how can we improve the logistics cost and turnaround times by inducing better policy or better, enabling of trade between the two countries?
Yes, Mr. Anil, thank you. That's already running short of time. I'll just try to make it in a very crisp manner. So hope I'm audible, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, see, improving the port turnaround time and reducing the logistic costs are critical for enhancing global trade competitiveness for any economy, needless to mention about India and Sri Lanka. This requires a seamless coordination among ports, customs, terminal operators, shipping lines, custodians, and other stakeholders. The first priority is the better infrastructure, expanding the terminal capacity, modernizing the cargo handling equipments, and strengthening the road and rail connectivity to the ports. Second is operational efficiency through digital berth planning, reduced vessel waiting time, and round-the-clock availability of marine services. And of course, digitalization is a key enabler. The paperless documentations, the port community system, what I was mentioning about earlier, and the technologies like AI, IoT, RFID, OCR can simplify the processes and improve cargo visibility. From the customs perspective, we ask the risk-based clearances, the pre-arrival processing, advanced filing of documents, and the authorized economic operator program. All these things enable the faster movement of compliant cargo while maintaining the effective enforcement. Reducing the container dwell time also depends on better coordination, early documentations, appointment-based cargo delivery, and the real-time performance monitoring. Improving multimodal connectivity through dedicated freight corridors, coastal shipping, inland waterways, logistic parks, inland container depots, we call the ICDs, and the container freight stations as a hinterland dry ports will further reduce the logistic cost. We can put it in a nutshell by telling that the regular stakeholder coordination and the government initiatives, like in the case of India, like the Gati Shakti, national logistic policies, the Sagarmala maritime innovation, and the port community system provides a strong foundation for a faster and more integrated logistic ecosystem. I can probably conclude that the better infrastructure, smarter technology, and efficient customs facilitations, stronger connectivity, and close stakeholder collaborations are the key to faster ports and lower logistic costs and a globally competitive maritime sector. Thank you, Mr. Anil.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shashi Kumar, if I could have a closing comment from you regarding how can maritime diplomacy support stronger economic integration in the region?
As I mentioned in my speech, the regions, though they are two different sovereign nations, the region is actually a common region, both historically and in terms of distance. So any connectivity, the regional connectivity or betterment of regional connectivity will completely merge at least South India and Sri Lanka together. Actually, in my school days and all, before the LTT struggle and that Indo-Sri Lanka turmoil started, most of my classmates were Tamilians but settled in Sri Lanka. It was like Trichy Airport will have good air connectivity with Malaysia, Singapore, and Sri Lanka, because this is a completely traditionally, historically, a common economic region that has got historically separated into different nations over a period of time only. Otherwise, these are integrated regions. And just like we are thinking of a road connectivity with Myanmar, which in my opinion, since I worked in Guwahati for 2.5 years, it's a very difficult proposition to operationally become viable, because Myanmar is under military junta and the terrain is very rough. The Calcutta to Myanmar road is very difficult to maintain. Monsoon is harsh. whereas India, Sri Lanka is just maybe about 14 kilometers apart. Your marine sea link in Bombay, which is already operational between Navi Mumbai and Bombay, is 6 kilometers. It's just double the distance, but it will integrate two big economies in the region. With these few words, I leave the floor back to Anil. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your closing remarks, sir. Now if I could invite Dr. Neeta Awasthi to just give a closing remark on how does she see that. So what are the challenges ports are facing in adopting sustainable digital infrastructure and how they can be overcome? Dr. Awasthi, could I have you back on the mic? I think she's got disconnected. Yes, doctor. Right.
Yeah. So I think the major obstacle is a high upfront investment. That is very high. And again, the uncertain demand of cleaner fuels, shore power, etc. Cybersecurity and data ownership also become major concerns at the ports when they digitize. Then grid capacity limitations, fragmented responsibilities across public and private sectors. That becomes a difficulty. Lack of common technical standards can be, and the skill gaps can be high difficult areas. So how can we go about it in a phased manner, which are bankable also? Begin with the small pilot projects at selected high volume berths and terminals. Then balanced finance and public-private partnerships for electrification, renewable energy, and shore power infrastructure. That will share the finances. Again, it can be aligning the standards and incentives across the two countries so that the shipping lines have confidence to invest in the cleaner vessels and operations. And finally, building the workforce capability in energy management, digital systems, cybersecurity, maintenance, etc. And establishing the small set of KPIs, like very small things, vessel waiting time, berth productivity, emissions per cargo unit. They can be KPIs, shore power use and digital clearance time, etc. So the greatest barrier, I would say, it is not technology, it is the coordination. And I would like to take a question from here, if you allow, Mr. Arora.
Yeah. Of course.
That is, yeah, okay, thank you. So the biggest barrier is actually fear of losing control. People worry technology may replace their jobs, they can reduce their autonomy, and truly exposing the skill gaps also. This is why they fear technology. I finished my PhD in deep learning in 2005. And even at that time, things were there that everything will be replaced by AI. Nothing has replaced. We have simply become better, more efficient, more productive people. And the institutions can overcome this through involvement, practical training, etc. There's a question about human side of digital transformation and the role of institutions. So I think the roles of institution is very large here to remove the fear of the people. Why not take the people first? Involve the workers, small entrepreneurs early itself. Give the simple hands-on training. You don't need to give them the entire 4 years training, but a small training, certifications, local support. If anybody says India is, as in the question it is said, digitally challenged, I don't agree with that. People said it before Paytm, before we digitized everything, but I think we are very digitally connected and we are literate. And when the question comes of the GDP, so I think I am the person who knows the least that GDP is based on trickle down economics. it is 5 levels. Increase in GDP, it will go into every level. We are already doing a lot for the not so haves. 80 crore people ration, but there has to be a budget for everything, for research also, for growth also. So, and the growth has to be inclusive. It has to translate into secure, dignified livelihoods. I agree. Policy makers should pair the GDP and export targets with measures like quality employment, fair incomes. If you give fair income to poor, he or she will be happy. Also giving them skills, social protection, your affordable essential services, cleaner hygiene, sustainable indicators, they show how the families at the bottom will be benefited when the research and the corridor goes to its highest level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I would like to have one last question being answered by either Mr. Manimaran or our chairman, Dr. Bana, who's a PhD in PPP. We've heard everybody and the challenges and the way forwards. This question becomes very pertinent in today's time and world and in this topic because a lot of things are controlled by the government. So there has to be public-private partnership. Rather, if I heard the words of the industry minister from Sri Lanka correct, last time we met him last week when he visited Delhi, was that Sri Lanka is looking forward to PPPP, public-private people's partnership. So that's a very interesting last note that I would like Dr. Bana and Mr. Manimaran to dwell on.
Maybe Mr. Manimaran can say first.
Sir, thank you. And having I spoke already, I would love to listen to you, sir.
Thank you. So,
Please.
thank you very much. Mr. Arora very rightly said that our region, that is India Sri Lanka region, is moving fast forward mode, and public-private partnership becomes very important, especially Indian government last year has brought in shipbuilding and related infrastructure under infrastructure category. With that, opening a lot of avenues for development of these sectors through PPP, including a lot of policy decision has come in on digitization of shipping and maritime documentation. So with that, a lot of capital, in my view, gets unlocked. And when we talk of PPP, certainly there has been a lot of initiative now after last year's policy changes this side. So and a lot of new projects are being taken up, and it is going to unlock a lot of inefficiencies in the marine trade between the two countries and the global trade where these two countries participate. And as far as people, as Mr. Arora was mentioning, Honorable Minister was very keen that PPP has to be people-oriented. So, as I said, that PPP was always people-oriented because public authority represents people of that country, always. And the private was to be partnered with. But you wish to be more specific about it, yes, that is there. And any PPP, for it to be sustainable, it has to have 3 components. That is value for money, which is essential for any private player, and then value for people, which Honorable Minister was also saying, and then most importantly, value for future, where your climate change and other sensitivities come in. So we have to be sensitive to all these things while planning a PPP. And then, yes, as we go forward, we need to ensure that whatever policies, whatever we undertake has to be sustainable in long run, whether it is a relationship, trade relationship, or policy perspectives. If they are not sustainable, they will not last. With that, I hand over the floor to Mr. Arora. Thank you very much. And it's been wonderful.
Thank you very much, sir. Before I open the floor to any more questions, we have one or two unanswered also. I would just like to highlight the new things that have been brought up, at least to me, on this forum. First is by Mr. Shashi Kumar that the road link from India to Sri Lanka would open a new corridor and reduce the frontiers and the movements. Mr. Manimaran for giving us enlightenment on how compliant cargo can move faster. The underlying word being compliant cargo here. So we all want compliant economy to improve and the non-compliant economy to diminish. Dr. Awasthi, your inputs have been very instrumental in helping us learn about what are the impediments to digital integration and what are the benefits of digital integration. Thank you for being very explicit about your views. I'm sure it will stir up a lot of thoughts from everybody. And most important, from Dr. Upadhyay, I would like to thank him to bring to the forum that the need to modernize shipping, unify practices between India and Sri Lanka so we all reach a common platform. And to make it sustainable, we have to maybe do a little bit of demechanization and bring out more consistent production. And kind of, if what I could gather is that if we could join forces on that, we could definitely put together, we could produce more than 1/4 of the fishing production of the world. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. One thing, sir. I'm sorry to have taken more time. And since I have gone for elaborate way of preparation and in bringing all those documents with me. But however, we need to have with Sri Lanka more ties with especially for aquaculture around the northern part of Sri Lanka and India, Gulf of Mannar and this side. And then for offshore, we need to modernize our fishing on the use of eco-friendly and modern synthetic gears with the navigational appliances as fish finders and others, so that we go for deep sea fishing, offshore fishing.
Thank you, sir. I guess we've answered most of the questions put forward. Madam Anamika, you can forward your questions to Dr. Naresh Bana, who would be happy to answer them directly. Mr. Durkesh Raparthi and the Dr. Darshana De Silva. Again, please note Dr. Bana's email. He's the chairman of the Indo-Sri Lanka Council for Commerce. He can help you link with the right authorities or the counterparties in various countries to start a relationship. I must, on this note, end this conversation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. However much we would like to continue it, we are already 10 minutes over time, and we look forward to the next engaging discussion with all of you and some new speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Namaste. Ayubovan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.